What
What's
happened?
what's going on, Seasoned family?
How's everybody doing? Happy Thursday.
Man, I hope everybody had a great Thursday and had a good Thanksgiving Thursday too. Hopefully, for
Absolutely.
those who celebrate, I hope that you all enjoyed your Thanksgiving Thursday.
Absolutely. Good times with friends, family, all the things.
Absolutely. Did you enjoy yours?
Absolutely. I did. I got to do one of my favorite things, which is eat. And I did not have to cook, which is even gooder. We went out this year. We kind of alternate. Sometimes we stay in and cook. Sometimes we go out. And we went out, and I didn't have to go to the grocery store. I didn't have to cook nothing. I didn't have to clean nothing. I loved it. Good stuff. How
W-
about you?
Went out? Y'all found a
We
restaurant that was open, or y'all went to somebody else's house?
You would be surprised. First of all, there's lots of restaurants that are open, and there's lots of people that are out at the restaurants that are open. So, yes, this is not our first year going out. The wait at like the first time that we went out was hours and hours and hours and hours. That's how many people are out. And this restaurant, it was good. I made reservations and we were in there, we were out. It was the whole restaurant was packed and it was wonderful.
I was today years old.
I learned you something.
Today years old when I knew there was people out in the restaurant on that day.
And was.
Well, I'm glad that you and the family had a good time out and nobody had to cook or clean up anything. Cause listen here,
Nothing.
we all know that is a job and a part-time.
Correct. With no pay.
With no pay. Only expenses. Yes, yeah.
Correct.
But mine was it was pretty peaceful, I should say that. You know what I was dealing with during that time. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was peaceful, to say the least, but yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So what we talking about today, sir?
Today we are talking about abuse.
Mm-mm.
I know, I know, but we had to do it because
We did.
one of our good old viewers said that she needed to hear our view on abuse.
Okay.
So
Well, we got to give the people what they want.
we got to give them what they want. So we gonna talk about abuse today, everyone. One of the things that I really want everybody to know, first of all, if you are or if you ever have been through any type of abuse, and you need help or you're trying to find some help, it is plenty of help out there for you. We can try to do whatever we can in our power. Send us a message or something and let us know. We can get you a number to contact or to call or whatever that looks like for you. I definitely know a few good counselors, a few good life coaches. I know a
Mm.
few good police officers and a few good, somebody that can help you get out of that situation. So if you are,
That's right.
trust and believe, there is help out here for you. We're going to start with that.
All
Uh,
right.
but the first question that I have for you is, have you ever been in an abusive relationship? And if so, how did you survive?
All right. So I have never been, thank the Lord, in a physically abusive relationship. Um, um, I don't know if that's considered lucky or blessed or normal or abnormal. Uh, I would like to think that it's the norm that people aren't in abusive relationships, but I have a feeling that it's probably a little more common than we think. However, there are, of course, multiple types of abuse, and I would say and surprisingly, it was after I was older. Never really had any of these types of issues when I was in my 20s or my 30s, but the majority of my relationships in my 40s, there I would consider that some of those were verbally abusive. Like people who just like to yell and argue and just like, be negative or say negative things, which is very which was and is very challenging for me because if you know me at all, I'm a very cool, peaceful, pretty even keeled person. I don't really like, get riled up. I don't raise my voice or, any of that. I can be loud now, but as far as towards someone in a negative manner, not so much. So to have that type of experience or to have somebody who's supposed to care about me or supposed to love me to speak to me in a way, that I feel is negative or aggressive, um, is what I'm referring to as verbal abuse. Or, um, just in any kind of way I feel that makes you feel some kind of way, about yourself or is to demeaning to you or trying to put you down or negative, in my opinion, is verbal abuse. And I definitely do not condone it. I don't agree with it. I do not think it's okay. I feel like it says way more about the person that's doing it than it does about the person that's receiving it. And I also feel like a lot of the time it is uh, based on things that happened to them in their childhood. A lot of times, people grew up in households where that is what they saw, that is what they experienced. So, kids usually learn by doing or learn by seeing. And so they're just repeating the cycle. They saw, their parents communicating that way or people in their neighborhood communicating that way. And so they learned the behavior and that's all that they knew. And so then they started repeating it. And, that's my thoughts on it. So, I feel blessed that I've never had to deal with any type of physical abuse, but verbal abuse, I would definitely say I have had some experience with that in the past. And I think that no one, male or female, should allow anybody to verbally abuse them. So, what do you think, Skills? How about yourself? Because
Uh,
people often mistakenly think that it doesn't happen to guys at all. So, that's the thing too.
this is very true, and that's one of the reasons why I think this topic is very important for us to speak on. Because yes, I have been in an abusive relationship,
Hmm.
physically as well as mentally as well as verbally. I've
Mm,
been in that type of relationship. And I definitely agree with a lot of what you said. A lot of it, I think, was learned behaviors and repeated
mhm,
behaviors from their past and what they learned. But
mhm.
it's also something that you said that I'm glad you pointed out in the way that you did, is because it's not acceptable and it's not anything that anybody should have to tolerate on any level. Um,
Uh-uh.
so yes, I have been in an abusive relationship. It's and it even extended outside of myself, believe it or not. The woman that, abused me, I should say, it wasn't a consistent thing. It happened
Mm,
once, it was over. Um, but women tend to know that they have the upper hand when it comes to that situation because, let's be clear, if any man puts his hands on a woman, he's going to be brought up on charges. Um,
right.
not always the case when it comes to the man. You know what I mean? First of all, most men don't report it. They don't say anything about it. As well
Mhm.
as it's harder to prove
Yeah.
because we're typically bigger and stronger, and they looking at this little woman like, man, you let her put her hands on you? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? But the problem
Yeah.
with that is most women know that. And that
Mm,
in itself is a form of abuse because they take that opportunity to do damage that, you weren't even expecting or didn't even see coming. But
right.
said that it extended outside of me, this woman actually called my mother and had my mother fearful for my life.
Wow.
So, it 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 and to me that's a form of abuse as well. Not only was I victimized in that situation, she then victimized my mother because my mother then said, you know, oh my God, like this woman is going to take your life. Like she,
Right.
she was fearful that that was going to happen.
Mhm.
So with all of that being said, I just think it's extremely important for men to speak up about it and to have, the knowledge about how to, avoid it as well as to survive it just like a woman can. Um, but I also
Absolutely.
know a lot of women that have been in abusive relationships that I've helped out of abusive relationships as well. Um,
Mhm.
and it's, sadly, it's one in particular young lady that I was not able to help.
Mm.
I would hate to, well, I don't hate to say her name. I just, her name was Jennifer Corbin. Um,
Mm.
and she was abused by a wealthy doctor in Atlanta.
Oh.
Um, and, she had two sons by this man and they had been married for years. And unfortunately, there was no way, for me, I offered help to her. I offered to help her, but she wasn't ready at the time and she didn't survive her abusive
Mm.
relationship. And because he was a wealthy man with money and with status and, with a way out, he
Mhm.
was able to, do what he did to her for years and almost get away with it.
Mm.
But yeah, it's a sad situation all the way around to take advantage of someone, to abuse somebody in any form or fashion. But yeah, men do get abused too.
Absolutely. And like I said, it is not okay, period, for anybody, man, woman, you
Mhm.
know,
Not at all.
LGBTQ, none of it, nobody. Um, so while we're on the topic,
Mhm.
um, and I think you kind of already alluded to this, but the question was like, how many different forms of abuse have you experienced? I know you named a few. Um, Is there anything you wanna elaborate on that, or is there any others that you hadn't mentioned?
Um, the physical, the mental, um, the verbal abuse, you know what I mean? And then the other that I would probably say was just the threatening of
Um,
it was to the point to where somebody had told me before, like, "Oh, I'll call the police and tell them you put, you know, your hands on me."
right.
Like, "What?" Like, so not only are you, verbally abusing me in this situation, you're also not
Mhm.
threaten the situation and threaten to have me arrested for something that I didn't do.
Okay.
That is a form of abuse as well. Like, to have
Absolutely.
you fearful of, figuring out how to get out of this situation and get away from this situation and get away from your crazy. um, but
Yep.
again, it's one of the things so where, most men don't admit to it. They probably are fearful of it making them look a certain way. I could care less
Right,
what anybody thinks of me and how they think, that is,
right,
what that looks like for me.
right.
But just happy to be away from that situation and have set
Absolutely.
boundaries in place now to where those things will never happen and I'll never be put in those types of situations again and
Yeah.
moment
Good.
I see something like that. One of my good friends told me, he was like, dude, he's like, you so quick to cut people off and you have zero tolerance for. I said, because when I see things that I
Yeah.
know, that is the best time to make a move, because if you allow things
Absolutely.
to continue for whatever reasons those are,
Mhm.
it's not right, and it's not right for you. So,
That's
uh,
right.
but what about you? Have you ever? I know
Mm,
physically you haven't been in a situation like that, but
right.
what some of the ways that you feel that you've been abused?
Like I said, for me, it's mainly been,
Verbal.
yeah, mainly been verbal.
Mm,
Um, I think now that I'm thinking about it, in my younger years, because my original when we were talking about it originally, I was thinking from the aspect of like a relationship.
mm,
But definitely in my younger years, unfortunately, there was some, sexual, misconduct. an abuse that, took place, um, that never really got dealt with per se, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, and for young boys and young girls, a lot of times when we deal with those types of things as kids, we don't tell anybody, and we just kind of, either deal with it. Some people can kind of deal with it and, be okay and move on and, learn from it, or, deal with it, whether it's, through prayer or church, or, just learning and growing and, healing themselves,
Mhm.
or having
Yeah,
therapy, or whatever the case may be. And some people never recover, from those types of things. And so, like we were saying in the beginning, none of it is okay. Also, I noticed from a lot of conversations now at this season age with grown men, um, the differences and the double standard between what people even consider is abuse, because I've had conversations with a lot of men, that were speaking from a braggadocious place of, you know, how they were maybe in high school and were having relations with a grown woman, or their babysitter, when they were young, maybe, between 10 and 13, how their babysitter was their first, sexual experience. And I'm sitting there like, what? Huh? Like, that person is a pedophile, let's be clear, and the boy often doesn't see it as that, because, it's different for boys. It's a sign of, oh, something good, something great. They're praised by their fathers and their uncles for that type of behavior. They talk about it as a badge of honor. And, 9 times out of 10, if that was a girl that happened to, all hell is going to break loose, right?
absolutely.
Um, yeah, absolutely. So, I just think that is definitely something that, needs to continuously be talked about. Is something that, like, parents need to talk to their kids about ahead of time. It's something that needs to be, people need to believe their children when they say, things may be going on. And, oftentimes it's those family secrets, it's family, it's pastors, it's coaches, it's, all the things, that we see about now, 20 years later. Now we see documentaries about people who, the whole time, this person that was supposed to be oh so high and mighty was really, being abusive in one form or another. So it's a really, deep and, often dark and topic, that needs to be discussed. So I'm glad that you brought this up today.
Absolutely. And that point that you made was very, very important to speak on, because you're absolutely right. Although it through some men's eyes it is a badge of honor. But mentally it does the exact same thing for a young boy that it does for a young girl. And then
Absolutely.
and the way that manifests in their future, is almost identical as well, whether people know that or understand that or not. Then
Mhm.
boy becomes abusive in many
Right.
ways. And not only just does he become abusive, sometimes it's the reverse, and he doesn't even know how to love, and he doesn't know how to even treat a woman or anybody properly for that matter, because of
Right.
what done to him in his past. So,
Mhm.
and we all know that those young boys never get help. They never get the treatment that they need. They never get,
Nope.
some some of the girls do, some of them don't, but none of the little boys do. And you know what I
That's
mean?
right.
And the way
Mhm.
that manifests in their future is almost identical to what it does for any young girl, whether we realize that or understand that or not. So for those dads and those uncles and those, elders out there that are allowing that to happen to their young boys, shame on you. Shame
I
on
agree.
shame on you
I agree.
for allowing it to happen, and to, bragging about it and being excited about it. No, that's nothing to be excited about, because that trauma that boy experienced will be scary the way it manifests in his future. So,
Absolutely.
let's do better as a whole, as a people. Like, let's do better, and not, condone any of those types of behaviors, and allow our children to be abused by any shape or form, by any type of person and at any age.
That's
Let's
right.
allow that to happen and condone it. But yeah. So that was a tough one. That was a tough one. But one of the other things that I want to jump into today is something called let the people know.
Let them
We
know.
we got to let them know. One of the things that I want to let the people know of today is it's along the same lines of what we've been discussing and what we've been talking about. Um,
Mhm.
but I personally know someone that was abused by something that you just pointed out as well. Someone who is very wealthy, someone who is high and mighty. And I don't know if you or if everybody's watched that documentary yet that 50 Cent produced about
Not
um,
yet.
about Puffy. So I won't say too much about it. Um, but I personally know one of the men that were abused by him. So
Mm,
being said, and I also know, a few others that worked under his camp that, saw some things happening and saw some things going on. And, I really just want to let the people know, like, I understand that there's a fear and there's a fear of being protected and, being fearful of those abusers. Um, but to me, and I think in the if you truly are honest with yourself, um, your silence is also a form of abuse.
mm,
Because if
mhm,
you know something like that is happening and you condone it or you enable it or you stay silent about it when you witnessed it and you saw it going on and you allow it to happen for years and you not say anything and you let, more and more people become abused, to me, you're just as bad as the abuser.
mm.
So
Yeah,
think about that, people. But I just wanted to let y'all know that y- because things come in a package that's not typical of what it looks like of of an abuser. Um, know that they all don't look the same. Know that they all don't have the same bank account. Know that they all can be your employer. Know that they all can be a spouse, a family member, a friend.
mhm,
They come in all of those shapes and forms. It doesn't have to be a stranger. So
that's
when
right.
you think about that, just know that, you know, if you don't know and don't understand that, um, no form of abuse from any employer or anyone that has weight over your head or any of that is okay. So
Not at all. So, hopefully you guys got some, information. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this sparks a conversation for you and yours. If something that we said, you know, was a reminder or was something new that you learned, make sure you jot something in the comments. If you have some questions, feel free to ask those. You have some comments. We would love to hear from you. We love to hear you guys' thoughts and your questions. We respond to all of them that we get. So make sure you share this conversation with a friend or send it to somebody who might need to hear it. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the conversations that we're having. Share it with a grown, seasoned friend so they can join in on the conversation. We appreciate you guys for watching and for joining us. We're in the same place every Thursday, 8 p.m. on YouTube. But make sure you follow us on social media and above all, stay seasoned.
check on your people.
Definitely.
Peace.
Peace.